Thank you for joining me on the journey. This is Completed Christianity, and once again, back for our next episode of Being Complete, third in this Mark of the Beast series. And then we'll settle into our schedule, and some of these days surely get missed here and there, but the goal is to get into every day. So let's get going today in this series with the Mark of the Beast and its bearing on our salvation and its ability more than anything else, as it's taught, to send people to the lake of fire. Our first video, we gave proof eternal damnation was not for all who received the mark. Last video, pre-end times timing of the mark. This video, what the mark is and what the mark is not. The next video, the calculation of the number of the beast, and we're going to do that. Number 5, avoiding the mark. So, eternal damnation may not be for all, but it's still something that you don't want to do, just like any other sin is something that you don't want to do. So, what the mark is not. The mark of the beast is not a barcode, a tattoo, an ID card, a chip, and one of those things. All of these things could be connected to an application of the mark of the beast, but they themselves, any kind of technology, is not the mark of the beast. It's impossible. This is just a modern deception that's been handed down to continue the perpetuation that all of this is out in the future, and it's nothing to worry about today. That's been the overall connotation of the last 30, 40, 50 years about the progression on the mark of the beast. So then, what is it? Well, let's take a look at the verse. So Revelation 13:16, and he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark upon their right hand or upon their foreheads, and that no one should be able to buy or sell except he that has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So in this, there's no demographic that's going to protect you from this. But obviously, it's not to say that all, as in every person on the planet, is going to receive the mark of the beast, because there's always going to be staunch and true believers that are going to stand against this, even to the point of death, if that's the case. That's always been the case. It's always gonna be the case. So it's not all. It's just any demographic, whether you're rich, whether you're poor, whether you're a free man, whether you're a slave, whether you own a corporation or you're the janitor, nothing's gonna protect you from this. Only thing that's gonna protect you is the knowledge of what it is and the knowledge of the Father. The no one should buy or sell, that's always connected to that they're going to turn your credit card off, or you got to have this chip to participate in the economy, and something like that could happen. But that is not the application in full of this verse. There's no technology needed for this to happen, because this was applied back in the 1100s with the Waldenses, in the 1300s with the Hussites. This was applied. And there's been many other applications where people who withstood the beast system, that they were limited on what they could buy and what they could sell. Even like Saddam Hussein, there were economic sanctions placed upon him because he was not playing ball with the beast system. Not that he's a good guy, but that's just the way it works out. In John Gill's exposition of the entire Bible on Revelation 13:17, where it says, save he that had the mark, John Gill says that these are those who took the oath to be true to the Pope or made a profession of the Popish religion. And if you didn't see the other two videos, this isn't making sense to you. This is probably sounding ridiculous, but that's just because you've been conditioned to accept the modern deceptions. These modern deceptions cause you to see something like this and say, oh, well, that doesn't apply to us. That's proven to be wrong. That's not what scholars say today. scholars are liars and they're compromised by the beast system. So if you need it to be a physical mark, which it's not, it's an internal, intangible mark. But if you need it to be a physical mark, here you have where Catholics on Ash Wednesday, they get this mark on their forehead, just as such. But the mark itself is not physical. You can potentially see the mark on a person by their actions and the things that they do. But in this beast system, the worshipers on the inside, they get this mark on Ash Wednesday, and you're supposed to like parade around all day with this on if you're like a true believer in this system. Here we have, with the rosary beads, you have also this represented on hand. So if you need a physical mark, then there it is. But the real mark, it's an internal, intangible. You can see it by a person's actions, though, and the way that they worship. We will deal with that more in the last video. So here is Charles Haddon Spurgeon, and Spurgeon, known as the Prince of Preachers, and at least historically, maybe it's not going on just here in the last 10 years or maybe even 20, but historically, this man, he's always been respected by any denomination in Protestant Christendom. So he's always been respected. What he says in this next quote that we're going to put up right here, and as he says it, popery is a whore of the Lord, and they who help it wear the mark of the beast. So this is the mark. The people who help popery, just like we saw before in the quote from John Gill, the people who are involved in popery or the Catholic Church, Catholic system, these people wear the mark of the beast. And in the 1800s with Spurgeon, yes, he says it. Like we talked in the second video, he says this in a present tense application. And they who help it wear the mark of the beast, present tense. And here, Albert Barnes notes on the whole Bible, Revelation 13:16, as we read above, applied to the papacy. The meaning is that there should be some mark of distinction, some indelible sign, something which would designate with entire certainty those persons who belong to it and who were subject to it. It is hardly necessary to say that in point of fact, this has eminently characterized the papacy. All possible care has been taken to designate with accuracy those who belong to that communion, and all over the world it is easy to distinguish those who render allegiance to the papal power. So here again, what is it? It is worship of the beast system through the papal power. The papal power is absolutely connected to the whole beast system, and that is what drives it, runs it, and that papal power is just that. It is the power and rule behind the beast system. And so those who help it, as Spurgeon said, they wear the mark of the beast. Psalm 89:34, my covenant I will not break, nor alter the word that has gone out of my lips. If you like the video, give us a thumbs up. Comments of opposition are welcome. Just don't say anything dumb like we're not under the law. We're under grace, because you've been taught to use that verse outside of the bounds of its intended context. Subscribe now. Smash that subscribe button and ring that bell so that you get notifications of all future videos.